So yet another X470 board, and maybe you don't have the money to buy a Crosshair 7 Hero, so maybe the Strix could be right up your street. So here we are with our first look at the Strix, but I'll show you inside the box first because it's quite quick and quite quick. It's quicker than me, that's what she said. So we've got a couple of RGB extension cables. One is addressable, one is the normal 4-pin. You get 4 SATA cables, you get a door hanger, you get the usual gump, which is your manual, your driver CD, and your sticker pack. Then you have a SLI bridge, and then that's it. The box is pretty light. Saying about lights, there aren't really many of them on the board. If you've seen what I've said about the Strixes in the past, I think they're a bit light on the lighting. So with this, you just get it down here. It's kind of the one that dances, it's addressable, but that's it. There's no RGBs anywhere else on the board. This is kind of like a hologram down on the chipset. I was actually hoping that it was going to light up underneath or something, or have like a strip of lights here, so that when the LEDs are on it, it looked kind of nicer. But it's a kind of nice effect. But on the OC 3D forums, this seems to have split opinion, so I'd like to know your thoughts about it. You do get an uncovered M.2 down here, but the covered one is up here. They're saying that it can take drop your temperatures of your M.2 by up to 10 degrees. Rather than some of the manufacturers, the heat sinks seem to just delay how much they warm up, but over time they do just, eventually get to the same temperature. I was seeing somewhere between 6 and 7 degrees difference with this heatsink, just so that you know. Other weird thing that's got on it, this is like a little tag from clothes. It's actually fabric. Now I think that's kind of cool. It does kind of like give a different type of texture to the board, and like I said, I kind of like it. But again, that was something that I've seen in the YouTube comments and on the OC3D forums that people were kind of divided about. So you do get a pre-fitted I/O shield. You don't have to fit it into the back, it's already on the board. It's kind of nice. Talking about light again, compared to the Crosshair, I did think this one was a little bit limited on USBs. I will say though that when it does come to USBs, I don't even like connecting loads of USBs into the back of my case. I've actually got a USB 3 hub underneath my desk, and I run all my cables underneath there and hide them out of the way so I don't see them around the back of my rig. So maybe for the sake of buying an Anker one, someone could pick up on that and then literally just have 1 or 2 USBs in the back of their case. So yeah, something for you to think about. This one does have video outs on it though. So the Ryzen 2, like the Ryzen Gen 2 CPUs that we've done, the 2600X and the 2700X, do not have onboard video. So even if you buy one of those processors, these won't work. If you want these to work, you need to buy one of the APUs, and that's the 2200G and the 2400G. So don't go thinking just because these are there, they're magically going to work. There has been some confusion with some beginners out there, so I'm just, kind of letting you guys know that, so that you don't end up buying this and then wondering why you're not getting any video. So it's AM4, so it means it can fit all of the processors. That's the glorious thing about it. I kind of like the fact that they've now got this ROG writing all over the board. There is some around the back as well. Obviously you're not going to see it. But on this side of the board, I thought it was quite cool. You do still get your normal SATAs down the side for those of you running mechanicals or 2.5 inches. There are quite a few header ports on here for fans and RGB. So you've got a couple of fan headers down here, plus an RGB header. I don't like it here, if I'm honest. I think it should be up here out the way, but this is something to do with the stock AMD cooler location would be a bit easier. But the stock AMD cooler location, the cable's massive, so you wouldn't have any issues. So 2 fan headers, 2 fan headers, another fan header there. There's another 2 fan headers here as well. So there's quite a few on there. They're decent places. You do get a RGB and an addressable down the bottom. 2 USB 2s, awesome for those of us with AIOs or smart power supplies. USB 3 there. You do get USB 3.1 there if you're going to be upgrading to a newer case. You can see you've got some of the Japanese capacitors down there for your audio and your Supreme FX cover, but the audio side of it is relatively basic, but it'll be better than like the old school onboard audio. So, few bits and boobs for us to look at there. How does it perform? Okie dokie, so the Strix, performance-wise, actually did better than I was expecting. So overclocking, it managed to do the 4.2 at 1.4. It's kind of a little bit of kind of a sideline benchmark that we've got going on to see whether the boards can kind of cope with it. That's 4.2 on all the cores, by the way. And then it did manage to do a 4.275 for full stability at 1.5 volts. And then we also did then manage to kind of mess around with it a bit, and we got 4.4 gigahertz for a screenshot. So it did quite well. Screenshot, yes, they do seem to be able to go high, but they're not maintain the stability. Not really worked out why yet. It's early days, but that was what Ryzen did before. So it's just kind of got a little bit more headroom, but you just can't get the stability. And I think really it needs more volts, if I'm honest. But then more volts is going to end up, yeah, it's just not going to be good for the processor. It's going to be one for the Sub-Zero boys. So first of all, compared to the Crosshair 7, the gaming wasn't as good. To be honest with you, the gaming on it wasn't that good at all. Not even wasn't as good, it wasn't good. So what I would say with the gaming on this is it's going to be something that they are going to end up fixing with the BIOS, but it is something they need to get fixed relatively quickly. It's nothing kind of like shocking, but when we've got early day graphs like this, and the other thing you need to think about is it is pre-release BIOS, so things will get tweaked, but it was just where it was so night and day different compared to the Crosshair, considering all of the other kit was the same. Yeah, I think it's just something that they'll end up tweaking. But then when you move on to something like Cinebench, the single core result, so one core result, it absolutely topped the graph with both. So it did really, really well with that. With the multi-threaded result, it did the same again, where it went right to the top, but, well, not right to the top for stock. And, well, yeah, when you compare stock to stock, it was at the top. When we compare overclock to overclock, it was at the top. Blender, the same, whizzing through the results. So at launch, the Strix at stock and overclock was better than the Crosshair. It was actually better than everything. It's an absolute little cracker. It's a bit of a diamond in the rough. So some people aren't going to like the aesthetics, but I think the value for money aspect on this, when you consider the Crosshair, this is a little gem. But the other thing that you do need to remember is we're all on pre-release BIOSes right now. I would assume this one is only going to get better, in the fact that I think they'll tweak those 3D results and they'll have that dialed down, because essentially they'll be running around and going, "How the Jesus was it slower than the Crosshair?" And anyway, they'll sort that out. But I do also think the Crosshair is going to get significantly better as well, because there's another BIOS come through that they're raving about. But anyway, so this, I think, for the money, did really, really well. This is a very, very kind of decent lower end of the X470 market purchase. I do think now that they need to kind of give it a little bit more lighting. I know there are people out there that don't like loads of lights, but it's options. Those of you out there that don't like it, turn them off. Those of you that out there do like it, don't get them. And I think this is just a little bit limp-wristed now. You can do better than that, peeps. You know you can do better than that. The packaging itself, you know what I mean, as a whole, you're going to be able to build a decent system with it. It's proven that it can overclock, and it's banking out good performance numbers. Better consistently performance numbers than the Crosshair 7. So it did an absolute little gem of it. So if you want to look into more about this, we went into a lot more detail on the OC3D website, so you can click the links and go and have a look. But on launch day, the Strix, the cheaper board, was better than the Crosshair expensive board.